How much longer are you going to ask for other people's permission to live your life? And I remember sitting down at my kitchen table and asking myself that question. How much longer am I going to do that? I have been working for a very long time, and while I'm not opposed to work, I have a strong work ethic, and I'm okay with that. What I do have a problem with is when you start to realize how much work you put in for how much you're actually getting back. And what prompted this sort of talking video or just sort of a sit down is finally coming to that realization after all of this hard work, all that time I put in, all of the effort, all of that nonsense, and I still get nothing back. It's as if not only did I not receive anything back, it's like I'm paying for it. And it makes you wonder, like, when does my life actually get to start? When do I actually get to start living? And it feels as though, and I know it's not just me, I feel like it's at a point where I'm surrounded by disillusion, and I was there. And it's a very easy place to get to, especially when you're just surrounded by it constantly and people constantly telling you all the things that are going to go wrong and how terrible everything is. And to an extent, they're, I guess, correct, but it does sort of hit a weird spot with me because it's almost as if I had an innate feeling that, well, there's got to be more to it than this, right? Like, there's not just be miserable, work to your deathbed, hate everything that isn't your opinion, or I should say, hate everything that, doesn't work in your favor, and then that's it. But when I would bring that up, it's almost as if I was delusional, as if, like, well, yeah, some people make it, whatever that means, but doesn't mean you're going to make it. So, you should temper your expectations. And yet, that fire never stopped. That I'm going to do it. There has to be something else. I refuse to accept that this is the last thing. And I'm not sure why you're accepting this. Is something I would say to myself. So, I would search and I would constantly check and I would constantly look for any pieces of information or inspiration or truth to whatever the hell it is that I needed to do with my life. And I chose to take risks. And it could have been costly, I'm sure, except it ended up working in such a way that to take those risks mitigated, if not equaled out to how much it spent for me to get there. And it was over the course of years, years and years and years of searching and finding. So eventually, you get to the sort of, I guess we're calling it the manifestation circles. The people where it's like, as long as you say your affirmations, you believe in these things, everything, blah, blah, blah. And yes, it makes sense. But then you start hitting the resources that actually make sense and actually put it into play and practice where it is, okay, that's what they meant by that. And while all of them are fantastic, it finally came to a point where even I had the confidence to say, you know what? There are some people who are starting out who maybe can't take in all of the extra readings and the complexities and all of that goodness. And trust me, it's fantastic reading. It's eye-opening. It's incredibly personal, and it is one of those journeys that I firmly believe people should at least do once. Whether or not you choose to believe it is definitely something worth looking into. However, it can be a lot, and it can be muddled with those who are more performative than anything, those people who choose to use it more as a money grab than anything, which money is part of it. That's fine. I'm not going to slow down your bag. No, absolutely not. But for those of us who wants to know what the core of it was, I want to throw my hat in. I want to be one of the contributors as well. I narrowed all of it down to I just want for once in my life to feel peace, not to feel that anxiety that I would get every time you look at your paycheck and you know that it's going to be gone within the next 15 minutes because you're paying out all of your bills, which, I'm grateful for that, but I'm also know that I'm an outlier where some people get their paycheck and you're like, I don't know what I'm going to do with that. What am I supposed to do with that? Or, you meet certain people in your day to day life where it's just like, oh my God, I have to deal with you. Oh my God, so and so is working today. Oh, that guy is going to approach me again today. I don't want to deal with this. Or just any stupid little arguments that just stir up a level of dread. The day to day life of going in and out and meeting people and serving people or the general public, and it just constantly feels like it is the worst day of your life every moment. And the only reprieve you have is going home. I wanted to finally get away from that. I wanted to be like, you know what? Fine. I'll do what I have to. But while I'm taking care of my responsibilities and while I'm being met with the daily challenges that approach all of us, especially me, I want a level of peace where no matter what the circumstances, I can just sit back and say, you know what? It's all good. It's all fine. It's fantastic. It works the way it should. And as long as I keep that focus, I know for a fact, not even possibly or I believe or I hope so, I know for a fact that continuing this journey and knowing that my circumstances will pay themselves in dividends is exactly the type of journey I want to take. I couldn't care less about the money if it comes from a place where I'm still miserable. Because I've met some rich people who are just the most miserable people on the planet. I have never seen somebody with so many resources who have such an attitude about life. And in the same breath, I've met broke people, or broker than I've ever been, who are also miserable, but also miserable and entitled. And it's like, well, yeah, you should feel entitled to get what you want, but at the same time, you actually have to go out and get it as well and believe that you can. And it's just interesting that it never really mattered what the price point was. People are still people. And at their core, if you don't address that, it's not going to matter what you do. And that's something I'm learning. If my core isn't centered and I'm not peaceful and I'm constantly anxious and depressed and miserable and desperate all the time, it will never matter how many hours a week I put into anything that I do. It will mean nothing. It will mean absolutely nothing. And I was proven that over the course of the last year and a half. I was proven within a span of, oh, I don't know, 10 minutes that your work was in vain. But not really. It doesn't have to be in vain. It could be a lesson. It could be a hey, you know what? Learn from this and realize that it's not about how much work you put in. It is about where does that work come from? And where is that pursuit coming from? Where is your purpose coming from? Why are you driven like this? Why do you want this? What does that actually mean? And that's exactly what manifestation, that's where it comes into play. And while there is a million and one videos by experts and, spiritual teachers and leaders, people who far exceed my intelligence, I am another person who just wants to say, I'm starting out just like anybody else. I'm not an expert, but I've taken those steps. And the difference in the shortest amount of time is, I would say, almost literally unbelievable, something that shouldn't make any sense. And even being hit with the turbulence of life, to maybe for a split second you get that, like, oh no, oh no, and then within that same second it's gone, because you're now able to process and look at it and say, okay, you know what, it's turbulence, but in that turbulence, that means I am transitioning into another phase of life. I approach the challenge, I overcome it, I become the person that I choose to be every single time that I overcome these challenges. And all it is a portion of life that's happened to me, like it's going to happen to everyone else. And what I choose to do plays the biggest role, not within the challenge itself, but what I choose to do about literally anything in my life. And that's something that I would like to contribute to. The sort of bigger purpose that I think we have missing at this point because everything feels so soulless, so empty. It's just go to work, buy, go to bed, deal with people, not even thrive with people or commune or anything, just deal with. I don't want to have to deal with 8 billion other people. I want to actually go outside and feel as though there is community. Everybody gets what they want. Everyone pursues what they want, and it feels as though they have purpose. And some people will not do that. They will see this and be like, this is the dumbest thing I've ever seen in my life, and good for you. Good for them. Let them. I choose to let them. But I did spend too many years of my life surrounded by people like that that almost made me like that. And you know what I have to say to that? It is a hell of a lot worse than where I am now. My physical external circumstances, they're a bit different. They could be better, but everything is just as good as it was and as it always will be. And that's how I choose to approach things. I don't want to be miserable anymore. I don't want to be depressed. I don't want to be anxious. I don't want to have to deal with people who are in that state anymore. I'm more than happy to help contribute, but if all you're going to do is drag me down while we're both drowning, what is the point? What does that accomplish? Misery truly does love company. And I'm choosing to take my time and attention away from that. My peace is so much more important. And I had to learn that the hard way, but thank God I did. At this point, we need to start talking. And we need to start talking about what it is that all of us truly want, like actually want and desire. And I know it's physical things if I had a bit more money, but there is something else there. And there is, to me, it's depth. So I'd rather approach it from a place of the common, you know, rando on the internet. Who am I? Nobody really. I'm no one special. I don't claim to be special. And yet at the same time I know I'm special within my own right, but I'm not better than anybody. I just want to contribute to a different type of society, the kind that doesn't feel as though we're all in modern day slavery, but we all have the chance and power to say, I choose to be different and I will choose. I have a choice. And I choose where I put my time and attention. I choose peace above all else. I choose not to let these circumstances take advantage of me. Nothing will take advantage of me anymore. So, I hope you liked it. This video comes from a place of me speaking to myself, and hopefully that somebody out there in the same spot, regardless of circumstances, hears something that I say and it's, you know what? I get it. That makes sense to me. Sure, I'm tired too.